Right guys, so as promised, from the last video we did on types of brushes, I'm going to show you the types of marks we get from these brushes. So I have today just a variation on rounds, flats, filberts. I have here two riggers, a pointer, two fan blenders, mop brush, and a chiseled edge brush as well. So I'm going to show you the sort of markings we get from these brushes. I'm just going to put them to the side, and we start off with the round. So with the round, we can get marks. Again, you can get really, keep the tip, you can get really straight, thin lines. And this can be varied by the amount of pressure you apply to the tip and bending it. So you can get thicker lines, and you might even be able to get wider lines depending on if you hold it on the side. You can also get lines depending on the press, like that. There you have it. And again, if you press like that on the side, very hard, you can get a bigger mark like that, which can be quite handy for doing leaves. You can roll the brush as well. You get different marks. So that is with the round brush. There's a smaller round. I'm going to just use the riggers. So this is a really thin rigger that I use for detail. And with the rigger, I can get really thin marks. So like for branches of trees. Again, I can use the tip really lightly and get really thin, long, straight fine lines. Or if I apply a bit more pressure, I can even get some lines like that. So you can modify sort of lines you get. So you can get interesting markings. But riggers, I use my riggers for trees. If I'm doing a couple of reeds, to do some markings like that. You could do it for feathers, for heraldry. So there you have it. So that's a really thin rigger that I have there. I also have another rigger which is a slightly bit bigger, and the bristles are currently open out at the moment, but once I wet it, see how it gets really taut and gets the point. So when I use that, again, I can use marks. Again, I can get really thin marks. I can also get, if I wanted to do the marks like these, again, get these a bit thicker. You can use them for branches. So they are quite handy brushes. You can use it for writing. So yeah, so that's a really thin rigger. Let me just replace this paper. then we have our really thin pointer here, and a pointer. The difference with the rigger is that a rigger has really long bristles. With a pointer, it's really short. So with a pointer, you can also get really thin marks, and I use pointers for adding detail. So I get as wide a mark, but it's still quite handy if you're doing outlines of shapes and so on. So it's a very handy brush. Yeah. So that's a really thin pointer. Okay, moving on to the round. So I have a round brush here. And this round brush, again, you can get a variety of marks with this. So the round, I can get like leaves if you do it on the side like that. So just interestingly, by just holding it in a different way, get bigger marks as well. You can get sort of like thicker marks again. If you use it on the tip and on the side, get similar marks. You can use this for even you getting straight vertical lines, horizontal lines. If you use it on the tip, you can use it interestingly for a mark like that. Which again, trees, depending on the shape you have, you can get different markings. So that's with a round brush. I have a flat. I have two flats here. I have a sort of like thicker or wider one. This is a 1.5 centimeter. This is a 1 centimeter. And you can get really nice broad strokes with a flat brush. So with your flats, you can get a nice straight even line. The bristles hold their shape, and you can see how thin it is, which allows you to get really, press and you hold that, to get really thin lines. If you're doing like brickwork, if you're doing suggested lines, depending on how you use it, you can get really effective vertical horizontal marks, even if you did straight lines across like that. So very, very interesting lines. And if you do it on the side, holding it, you can get interesting marks. So that is with the flat. Another flat here. So with this flat, this is a bigger flat. You can get another set of interesting marks. So similarly, nice broad strokes. And they do hold quite a bit of water as well. Really nice clear strokes. You can also, if you wanted, on the side, push, press and push, press and push. You can make all sorts of different marks. Just draw sort of like flowers. Yeah, so just draw a set of flowers there. Quite easy to achieve that effect. See that? And you can even hold it on the side. Get a range of thick marks as well. So that's with the flat. To the side. Let me show you the filbert. So I have a large filbert here. Let me show you the filbert. So with the filbert, and get a nice mark like that. And with the filbert, you can turn and twist. You can get push, and you can get leaf. Depending on how you twist the brush, you can get a nice range of marks with that. It's a semi-loaded brush there. Really interesting marks. Look at that. The brush is fully loaded. Again, really interesting marks. If you hold it on the side, and if you use it on the top, again, you get lots of textural effects with it. You can add lots of like, after you use it. So, very interesting set of marks there. Twist. So that's the filbert. There's another type of brush called the comb brush where it actually looks like that. It's flat, but you have these spaces in between where you get even more marks like these. I don't have one of those brushes. Have no need for that, because you can see I can achieve them with the same filbert brush once it's sort of semi-dried. Then I have a smaller filbert here. Now this filbert is synthetic here, so it's quite soft. So I use it quite a lot for watercolors. This one is a smaller one. It's quite stiff as well. It's quite firm, and I use this one more for oil and acrylic. So this one, again, similar marks. So there you have it. That is the filbert. Okay, now moving on to the fan. So I have a fan brush, and this is also a hog hair brush, quite stiff bristles, and get a range of marks from this. Mine is quite, the bristles are quite open and spread apart, so you can get lots of different markings. Get the grass on the side. You get different sort of markings from it. You can even get straight lines if you hold it straight. You can get those sort of lines. And get it for trees as well. So that is a fan blender, fan brush. Then I have here a mop brush. And mop brushes, I use my mop brushes to cover really wide areas. So for example, this mop brush, see right now, it's filled with water, holds a lot of water. That's one of the main characteristics of a mop brush, because it's like used to mop large areas really quickly. So if I just literally could see how it just covers everything, is loaded with water. So I'm literally mopping up. Bear in mind, even though it is a mop brush, I can also get really detailed marks depending on how I hold it. So the mop brush is quite a versatile brush. So there you have it, guys. Those are just a couple of the more common brushes and the marks you get. So just to recap, we did the mop brush, fan brush on these here. Then we did the filbert, so the large filbert, small filbert, the synthetic hair, the hog hair. Then we had our flats, and our rounds, and our riggers, and our pointer. So the rounds, the riggers, and the pointer.